Good afternoon and welcome back. The last video that I put out has received around 40,000 views in about 2 weeks, which is just mind-blowing. Thank you very much for the support. What has blown me away was the number of comments that I received. So I wanted to make this video in order to answer some of those comments in a little more depth. So let's get straight to it and let's see what we got. Vatan 1871 writes, the most valuable and privileged thing that money can't buy in 25 is a European passport. I agree with you 1000%. I think that the EU is a great thing. I have personally benefited a lot from the EU. EU membership is one thing that grants me the right to very easily find a job in Denmark. Without that, I could also do that, but it would be a lot more complicated and time consuming. So I think that's great. And I think that also enables European countries together to play at the big table with other big economies like the United States or China or other big economic players, because individually separated country by country, we wouldn't be big. Denmark certainly wouldn't be, maybe. And then what else do we have here? We have Thomas Bu 7139. Yes, services might be expensive compared to other countries. Then again, there's no need to give tips, as the service person's basic salary is high enough to pay for his or her taxes and live a comfortable life too, with a healthy work-life balance. Welcome to Aarhus. Thank you for the welcome. One of the small things that I love about this country is no tipping. Like, I bargain for work. At my work, it is my job to bargain on prices. But in my private life, I don't do that. I check the price and I will either pay full price or I won't choose your service. So that's why tipping has been very difficult for me, because how much are you supposed to tip? There's all this unnecessary thing that I don't know why I have to figure that out. Why can't they just give them a proper wage? But they are giving them a proper wage in Denmark, so I think that is great, and that makes our life a lot more simple, and also a lot more simple for the waiters that are working there. And then there was some interest in the mechanic. Zapador writes, a good and fair car mechanic is one of the most difficult things to find. When you find one, stick with them. Yes, I agree with you 1000%. A good car mechanic, a good dentist, and a good lawyer. If you find one, don't even look elsewhere. Just stay with them. Lucas ST writes, can I get a contact for the mechanic? Yes, they are called SS Auto and they are in Tilst. I think they are Serbians. They are great. And then there's another comment which I found really, really interesting, and it's from Sif Rasmussen. Dane here, I think a lot of us is a bit shy. Janteloven does have something to say. We do not expect that anyone wants to be our friend. We will be shy and see how it goes until one day the friendship is there. I believe a lot will think, why would they come and hang out with us? Or something like that. A lot of Danes are like that. We don't seem like that, but that is what goes on behind the exterior confidence. Thank you very much for sharing the perspective with me. That was eye-opening. I learned one more layer of the Janteloven thing. Really difficult concept for me to grasp, because I think that the way most people understand Janteloven, which is to don't brag, is not really what Janteloven was written, and also it was written as a parody of what a certain author thought about the present-day Denmark in like the 30s. So there's multiple layers to that, and the original way how the Janteloven was written, it's very suppressive. And if that is like assumed as a good thing, I think this leads in the wrong direction. And I think you should not be shy. I think you should just, go out and think that you are something and others can learn something from you. I think a lot of the concepts in Janteloven are outdated. I said it, there it is. And then Zonki writes, Denmark is an awesome country. I feel that you are spot on with most of the things, but the job market for new international graduates is rough. Yes, you are right. I also know that from the experience of people around me. Not only for new graduates, honestly, but also recently it has been tough for people that have been on the field for some time. I think that the graduates that I've seen in Denmark are very good at communicating, but based on the limited number of people that I have seen, they don't have as much foundational knowledge as you would think with a master's. And I think that with both the bachelor's and the master's being free and even paid for by the government, I think it has somewhat inflated the value of those degrees. So you really have to do something to stand out. What I did to get my first job, I didn't get it here, I got it in Hungary. But what I did is I already had relevant experience as an intern while doing my bachelor's. So when I graduated from my bachelor's, I was already, let's say, 2 years of experience into the field, so it was very easy to hire me over someone else. And I would recommend that, absolutely. You're right, it is rough, and I wish you success with that. And then Patricia Lawrence writes, thanks for the clear review, and I appreciate how you mentioned the changes in view compared to 2 years ago. I've heard about people leaving Denmark in search for better net salary and growth speed. That make it seem like career growth is generally slower here. What do you think about that? It's not that career growth is slower. Maybe it is a bit slower, but that's not the main thing. I think it is that the salary doesn't grow at such a rate. I think in Denmark, a manager or a director would make less than twice as much as a junior hire. While in other countries that could be 4, 5, 6 times more. I think that the Danish system is more compressed when it comes to wage differences, but it seems to work out so much better for the majority of the population. So I'm staying, and I think you should too. And then there was the thing about the clubs. Roughly 100 people pointed out that I should join a club. So thank you. I think I got the memo, and I did. It turns out that in the basement of my workplace there's a shooting range, and I actually tried it out, and I had tons of fun. So I'm going there next week. I don't think I will make too many friends because it's damn loud and we have the ear protectors on, but yeah, I'm going and it's gonna be fun. And then there was this whole discussion about friendships and the nature of friendships, and there's so much embedded in language about what friendship is and what it isn't, and what your expectations should be around that. So let's see what we have in the comments. First, JJ writes, the thing to know about Danes is that we form friendship in our childhood and for the most part keep those in adulthood, which is why even for Danes it's difficult to make new friends later in life. Yeah, I think that is like common for a lot of people. Hey, what's up? Come join me in a video. Good? So I think that's the normal way. I think what is special for Denmark is I've heard that it's not really traditional for people to move around the country. You're born in one place and you stay relatively in the same area, and so it's easier to maintain those friendships. I think in a lot of other cultures people tend to move around in the country, and so they get used to like making new friends in each place. But yeah, I understand the struggle. And then Jacob Pind writes, I think your age is the problem. People of your and my age most often have children. I've got 2 kids and wifey, and I have 0 time for friends. The rare occasions where I have my free time, I get together with a group of football friends and watch a game in real life. Glad to have you here in Denmark. Thank you. And I think you're right. A lot of people in my age, like early 30s, tend to start having families, and when your kids are small, that's when you have absolutely 0 time. So yeah, I feel that as a problem. But I think what we need to do is we need to find ways to still maintain the friendship, accepting that there's now a change in the circumstances, and you know, life is never going to be like it was, and it's different, and you have to adapt to how you keep the relationship going with your friends that do have children. Bazooka Bent writes, just because you find a friend or friends, it doesn't mean you have to see each other all the time. I have friends I don't see more than maybe every 3 years. Yeah, that opened a lot of question marks to me. For me, a friend is someone that I've spent time with outside of work. So to have a friend that you're not spending time with, it's just a sad thought to me. But I am on friendly grounds with multiple people. So if I take your definition, that I could call them friends, I don't know. It's all up to how you define friendship, and I don't have the answers. And then we have some comments on taxes, my favorite topic. Marstein Thomsen writes, I'm not a native Dane and have lived here half of my life. I have benefited from Denmark's education system and healthcare systems, and can honestly say that I'm so grateful to live in such a well-functioning country where I feel that my basic needs to live a happy, safe and meaningful life are being taken care of. I absolutely understand what you're saying. And I think a welfare society like the Danish one works out pretty well for the majority of people. And if you don't want to do something like exceptional, you just want to be part of the happy average, that works out really well. It becomes difficult when you are one of those people that want to do more and want to get ahead of the crowd. That's when the system really starts to pull you back with top scat and all the other things. Then my favorite meme comment, Mango Nietzscher. Nice to hear a foreigner from Eastern Europe explaining what he assumes things are like after living here for 2 years without knowing how rotten, for instance, the government is and how things are run in this country in reality. Live here for a good 40 years and then make another video about your observations. I appreciate your naivety and I hope one day things will be how you imagine they are. You know, if you promise to watch the video, I will make that video in 40 years from now. I'll see you here. I come from a country that is known for being corrupt as hell. Like one of the most corrupt governments after North Korea, pretty much. I know corruption, and Denmark is not corrupt. Sure, have your criticism. Us as contributors to the system, we are also stakeholders of the system. So it's our obligation to have constructive criticism, but I don't think that, you know, calling the government rotten or corrupt is really doing any good. I think Denmark is pretty good, but I don't think that your assessment is on point, based on what I can see. And then Morten Nielsen writes, don't mind the taxes, I just wish they would not F up every major government project like every IT system they have tried to modernize. Just seems like they are shoveling tax money into a black hole. And yes, Danish is a horrible language to learn. Yeah, thanks for your comment, Morten. I believe when you say that they F up everything. But I also think that here again, perspective is very important. One thing that really struck me when I came over is how streamlined the IT experience was with the whole e-box and NemID and MitID and NemKonto and all of these, like all the package that you get as a citizen. It's just great and it works. That has been my experience. And then language, my favorite. Hans Kemeyer writes, as a Dane fluent in Danish, English, German, Spanish, French and learning Russian, from experience Danish is hard compared to especially German. Wow, first of all, congratulations to speaking 6 languages. That's amazing. And yeah, thanks for acknowledging that. I think German is also difficult, to be honest. I always found that the German grammar is a form of torture and should be illegal, but apparently a lot of people speak it, which is, you know, mind-blowing to me. I fake my German, to be honest. And then Anders Jensen. Hi Anders again. I heard a language professor state that for people who speak a Romance, I assume Romanic, Germanic, Slavic or Arab language, it's literally easier to learn perfectly fluent German first and then learn Danish as a deviation from German than it is to go directly to Danish. Don't know if it's always true, but the people I've met who spoke really good Danish as second language have mostly been Germans. Yeah, I think the grammar is much more simple in Danish than it is of German. I find it annoying when I hear Norwegian people talk because I always think like, wow, that's a Danish I can understand. But then I realize that it's Norwegian, which is a shame. And also, it's interesting to me how close Danish is to German. Speaking German, I hope, is a benefit when it comes to learning Danish. And then, Proud Kisby Owner 89. I grew up around Aarhus. You sadly have picked the absolute most unintelligible, unpronounced, numbling dialect Danish has to offer. Western Jutlandic may be further from any other branches of the Danish dialect tree, but no one pronounces less than the speakers of the Eastern Jutlandic branch. Eastern Jutlandic is closely related to Chinese, as tonality and pitch are the most important vehicles of conveying information. Best of luck. The trick is not to try to pronounce Danish words, like the first part of the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, where you just need to fall towards the earth and miss. I was laughing hard when I was reading this comment. I think that the trick for me to like fake pronouncing a Danish word is to act like you're just back from the dentist and your tongue doesn't work because it's been, you know, blasted with numbing shots. I think what makes it difficult for me to learn is how big difference there are between two random people speaking Danish. Like in my work, there are people from Viborg, from runners, from Skive, and you would think that Viborg and Skive are quite close. That's like 30 minutes from each other, but I can hear like a distinct difference of how those two people speak and how they pronounce the same word. And when you're trying to learn something, it's difficult if other people are doing it differently all the time. It's difficult to see the pattern between them if you don't know what you're doing. So yeah, there you have it. That's my reactions to some of the 250 comments that I received on this other video. Unfortunately, I cannot include all of them in this one, but I've seen that there's a really good discussion going on in the comments, so I thank you for that. If you have enjoyed this, please give me a like, and if you want to hear more like that, then please feel free to subscribe on this channel. I hope we will get to 1,000. That would mean a lot, and so I will be working on that, and we'll be working on putting out more exciting and entertaining videos for you guys. I thank you for joining today, and I will see you in the next one.